All right. Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, let's do it.
Today, we're diving into the world of goal setting. Our listeners sent in a really interesting selection of excerpts, and it looks like they're really looking to refine their approach to, achieving objectives. I mean, both in their personal and professional lives.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're ready to go deeper than just like writing down some New Year's resolutions and hoping for the best.
Exactly. They're looking for actionable strategies, like how to set goals that really stick and actually, see them through, which is something we all struggle with, right?
Oh, absolutely. And that's what makes this topic so interesting. It's something everyone can relate to.
For sure. So let's jump right into these excerpts. One thing that struck me right away was this emphasis on not just the what of goal setting, but also the how. Like beyond just defining the goal, how do you actually stay motivated, navigate challenges?
Right. And I think that's where a lot of people get tripped up. They have these big dreams, but they don't have a solid plan for how to actually get there. And that's where these excerpts really shine. They offer some really practical advice on that how aspect.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of those strategies, let's talk about something that I saw pop up in a few of these excerpts. The concept of SMART goals. I feel like this is something a lot of people have heard of, but maybe don't fully understand how to actually put it into practice.
Yeah, SMART is definitely one of those buzzwords that gets thrown around a lot. But when you actually break it down, it's a really useful framework. Like it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And each of these elements plays a crucial role in setting goals that you can actually achieve.
So walk me through it. Let's start with specific. How does that factor into making a goal more effective?
Well, think about it this way. If you set a goal like, I want to be healthier, what does that actually mean? Like, it's super vague, right? What does healthier even look like for you? And how will you know when you've achieved it?
Yeah, I see what you mean. That's pretty broad.
Exactly. But a SMART goal forces you to be specific. Like, instead of, I want to be healthier, you might say, I want to lose 10 pounds in the next 3 months, or I want to work out 3 times a week. So you're giving yourself a clear target to aim for.
Gotcha. So it's about making the goal more tangible, something you can actually measure and track.
Exactly. And that brings us to the measurable aspect. You need to be able to track your progress, right? So you need to define what success looks like in a way that you can quantify. Like how many pounds you want to lose, how many times you want to work out, how much money you want to save.
I see. So you're setting yourself up for success right from the start by making it clear what you're working towards and how you'll know you're getting there.
Exactly. And then there's achievable. This is a big one because it's about setting realistic goals that you can actually, accomplish. I mean, it's great to dream big, but if your goals are so far out of reach that they feel impossible, you're more likely to get discouraged and give up.
Yeah, it's like setting yourself up for failure. And I imagine the relevant part plays into that too, right?
Yeah.
Making sure your goals are actually aligned with, your values and what you want to achieve in life.
Right. Your goals should be meaningful to you, not just something you feel like you should be doing. Like if your goal is to, say, climb Mount Everest, but you actually hate the outdoors, you're probably not going to be very motivated to train for that.
So true. And finally, there's time bound. This one always gets me. I'm terrible with deadlines, but I guess it's important for creating a sense of urgency and keeping you on track.
Oh, for sure. It's like if you have a deadline looming, you're more likely to take action, right? So giving yourself a time frame for achieving your goal can really help you stay focused and motivated. It's about creating that sense of accountability, like you're actually committed to making this happen.
Makes sense. So, okay, we've got this SMART framework for setting effective goals. Mm-hmm. But even with the best laid plans, things don't always go smoothly, right? There are bound to be challenges and setbacks along the way. So how do we navigate those rough patches and stay motivated even when it feels like we're hitting a wall?
That's where some of the other strategies from these excerpts come in. One thing that really stood out to me was the idea of breaking down larger goals into smaller, more manageable steps.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. It's so easy to feel overwhelmed when you're looking at the big picture, right? Mm-hmm. Like if you're trying to write a book, it can seem daunting to think about all those blank pages you have to fill.
Right, but if you break it down into smaller steps, like today I'm going to write 500 words, or this week I'm going to finish chapter 1, it suddenly feels much more manageable.
Yeah, those smaller wins can really help you stay motivated and keep moving forward. It's like that old saying, how do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
Exactly. It reminds me when I was training for a marathon, like the thought of running 26.2 miles just felt impossible at first. But by focusing on each individual training run and gradually increasing the distance, I eventually, I got there.
That's perfect. It's all about breaking it down into bite-sized chunks that feel achievable, right? And then, another technique for staying on track that I found really interesting is anticipating potential obstacles. They call them contingency plans. Like, think about what could get in your way and come up with a plan for how you'll handle those challenges if and when they arise.
So it's like packing an emergency kit for your goals.
Exactly. It's like, okay, what if I get sick and miss a week of training? Or what if I lose my job and can't afford to save as much money as I planned? Having those contingency plans in place can make all the difference when you hit a roadblock because it prevents you from, just giving up altogether.
Oh, for sure.
Right.
I mean, I know for me, if I don't have a plan for dealing with those unexpected challenges, it's easy to get derailed and feel like, okay, I'm just going to give up. But having that backup plan can really help you stay resilient and keep moving forward.
Absolutely. And speaking of resilience, I think it's important to touch on the idea of a growth mindset, which was something that came up in a few of these excerpts as well. Have you heard of that concept before?
Yeah, I think so. It's about viewing challenges as opportunities for learning, right?
Yeah.
Instead of seeing setbacks as failures.
Precisely. It's about embracing the idea that you can always learn and grow from your experiences, even the tough ones. So instead of getting discouraged when things don't go according to plan, you see it as an opportunity to learn, adapt, and come back even stronger.
Yeah, I like that. It's about shifting your perspective, right? Like instead of saying, I failed, you say, okay, this didn't work out as planned, but what can I learn from this? How can I do better next time?
Exactly. And that kind of thinking can be really powerful when you're working towards a goal because it helps you stay motivated and focused on the long game.
So we've talked about setting smart goals, breaking them down into smaller steps, anticipating obstacles, and cultivating a growth mindset. But how do we know if we're actually, on the right track? How do we measure progress and make sure we're still moving in the right direction?
Well, one key thing is regular review. It's important to check in with yourself periodically, not just to see how far you've come, but also to make sure your goals still resonate with you.
So it's not just about checking boxes and making sure you're hitting those milestones, but also about making sure you're still passionate about what you're working towards.
Right. As you grow and evolve, your goals might change too. And that's perfectly fine. The important thing is to be honest with yourself about what you want and make sure you're still aligned with those goals.
Makes sense. And, it's funny you mentioned that because one of the excerpts actually talked about how the journey itself can be just as valuable as the destination. Sometimes the skills and knowledge you gain while pursuing a goal can be even more valuable than actually achieving the goal itself.
Oh, totally. Sometimes the detours and unexpected turns are where the real magic happens, right? You might start out with one goal in mind, but along the way, you discover a new passion or learn something that completely changes your trajectory.
I've definitely experienced that. It's like you set out on one path, but then life throws you a curveball and you end up somewhere completely different, but even better than you could have imagined.
Exactly. And I think that's something that's really important to remember about goal setting. It's not always about, achieving that specific outcome, but about the growth, the learning, the journey of becoming a better version of yourself.
So true. All right. So for our listener, let's recap. When it comes to goal setting, remember to be smart about it. Break those big goals down into smaller steps. Anticipate those potential obstacles. And cultivate that growth mindset.
And don't be afraid to, adjust your goals along the way. The journey is just as important as the destination. And remember to celebrate those small wins along the way. Those can really help you stay motivated.
Absolutely. And before we wrap up, do you have any final thoughts or questions to leave our listener with?
Right.
Something to really, make them think?
Well, building on what we were just talking about, I would ask, how might you incorporate the concept of accountability into your goal setting process? Who can you share your goals with to help you stay motivated and on track? It could be a friend, a mentor, a coach, even an online community. Having that support system can make a huge difference.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah.
It's so much easier to stay committed when you have people cheering you on and holding you accountable.
Exactly. All right. That's all from me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of goal setting. We hope you found it helpful and insightful.
We'll catch you next time.
See ya.